And we are live.
Oh, so good.
Once again,
Once
happy
more,
holes.
yeah.
Here we are in our
Yeah,
cheesy,
we're all Christmas stuff now.
yeah, the Mrs. Claus.
I'm not sure I'll be able to get down the chimneys this year.
Yeah, no, not even sideways. No.
No.
She's shrunk, you know.
Oh, I have. I'm
She's
4'9" now. I was 4'10" a few months ago.
I know.
It's probably all this leaning over computers, you know.
Probably.
Poor little spine shrinking.
Yes, indeed. It's the weight of holding up the Chardonnay glass.
Oh, that's it.
That's what it is. Super excited today to have a newly minted to McCartneystudios.com, and you'll see his webpage link going across the bottom. Fab fellow, very dear friend and favorite of ours, all the way from London, Simon Weitzman. He's a London-born director, producer, author, and artist with more than 35 years of experience across network, TV, and film, with credits for BBC, HBO, ITV, Channel 4 and 5, Sky, Malaysian TV. We'll have to talk about
didn't know they had television there.
And Disney, Mauschwitz. And as of today, he is the latest member of the filmic family at McCartney Studios. He directed the Beatles documentaries Miss O'Dell, featuring another former TeaFlix guest friend, Chris O'Dell, and his latest film, A Love Letter to the Beatles, plus projects on International Beatles Week. He's working with artist Shannon MacDonald, Mark Lewisohn's Evolver 62, and science fiction author Alan Dean Foster. He also co-creates acclaimed Beatles books, including 8 Arms to Hold You, All You Need Is Love, and The Mad Day Out with Tom Murray, and The Beatles in 3D. Solo, he wrote The Bible of Golf for the University of St Andrews in Scotland and their special collection. Simon's community work includes large recycled sculptures for music-related charities, creative projects with disabled artists, music programs for care homes, and an annual concert for Vicky McClure's Our Dementia Choir held at the Cavern Club in Liverpool. Over nearly 2 decades, he's worked in TV, including several of the major UK broadcasters and networks that we just mentioned. Following on from the widely known Here, There, and Everywhere, a feature-length documentary about more than 50 years of Beatle fandom worldwide. But rather than focusing on the band itself, the film tells the story of the fans. And in his 2025, just released, you can see it everywhere, latest fan film, A Love Letter to the Beatles, it's described as a film made by fans for fans across the universe. It was released under the banner of his production company. He emphasizes the fan community rather than the celebrities themselves, which I think is so important, showing how fandom has developed, endured, and kept the spirits of the Beatles alive across decades, cultures, and podcasts. And we welcome all the way from London, Mr. Simon Weitzman. Welcome.
Hello, Simon.
Hello, guys. How are you?
We're good.
Fantastic.
And you?
Merry Crimble.
Yeah.
Merry Crimble. I see you've come.
Apple crumble. Yeah.
I love the way you're dressed, guys. It's fantastic.
Yeah, we've got a part-time job, you know.
You've come as proper sort of Christmas fair. I sort of come more as
With
silent,
that's
really.
our essence.
Yeah, I think you're just, just channeling, you're giving Grinch.
I am the Grinch. The Grinch at Christmas. That's true. Thank you very much for the introduction there. I was listening backstage, as they say.
Realize what a career you've had.
It's been quite a long time. It's funny sometimes you don't sort of think.
No.
You think it's over in a heartbeat, really, isn't it? And you kind of like think, gosh, you've done all these.
Oh, yes. It's amazing how the years gallop by. It's always time to get the tree down.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Martin said.
Martin's groaning.
Martin's saying something that equalizes sex and travel. Right?
Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So listen, what was the first moment in your life when you realized the Beatles were going to become such an important part of your creative journey?
Well, I have to say it happened very late for me. Because I mean, I was, I listened to the Beatles when I was a child. So my parents had a record player, which was in our sort of hallway. Basically, we had this kind of hallway that kind of sidled onto a sort of lounge and dining room. And we had one of those players that you could stack things on.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You put the arm back and then
the arm back and then put the other one on. So we had Revolver and Rubber Soul and we had Sgt. Pepper. I think we had those 3 albums. And I played, I played Rubber Soul until it went bald. And
yeah.
the needle on and it would just skid off the other end. I always loved that album.
Were We used to call that groove be gone.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was a child when I was first really into them, but we my parents were really into Queen. That was kind of, so we listened to a
Not a
lot
bad choice either.
and Beatles and various things. But I uh, I I guess my awakening to it a little bit was that my dad was working in America for a while, and we went out with him, and we were in New Orleans. I think it was on a break or something, and we were in Preservation Hall listening to the jazz, and I was sat on the floor, and I was about 13 at the time, and opposite me on the other side was this absolutely gorgeous Austrian girl called Sylvie, and and she was about 15. So I sort of made a beeline for her, in one of the breaks, and had a chat with her. Fortunately, she spoke some English, and we ended up being, well, I thought she was my girlfriend, and she sort of became my pen friend. So I was a pen friend to her, and she was my girlfriend. But and then we wrote to each other. But it was in the days where you made mixtapes as well.
Yeah.
We used to make mixtape, and on the end of each mixtape there was I used to put the Long and Winding Road, which I sort of felt was kind of like this person that's a long way away that I probably would never get to see. And she always used to send a mixtape back to me with the same song at the end. The songs would be all over the place, but we'd always have The Long and Winding Road as the last one. And then I have to credit my great friend Paul Skellett, my co-author on the books, because once we'd done this enormous, ridiculous book on the history of golf, he said, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's just do Beatles stuff. Because he was a massive Beatles
Yes,
head.
I wondered why the jump from golf to Beatles.
Yeah. It's so I started listening to a lot of Beatles with him, but I was like probably getting to my late 30s by then, by the time I started to really kind of come back to it. It goes in all sorts of different directions. There's always been Beatles in it, but I'd never been that sort of conscious of it as a fan. And then we started making the books, and we had the first book, The 8 Arms to Hold You, which is the background of how the Diary of Help with Richard Lester's help. He helped us, and we went over to the fest in Chicago, the Fest for Beatles fans in Chicago. We were absolutely, as we say over here, bricking it, because we we'd never met anyone in the fan groups before, and we thought, they don't know who we are. We've made this book, and it's quite flamboyant, and they'll probably hate us. Everyone's going to hate us when we get there. So we got over, and Mark Lewisohn had kind of set us up to kind of meet everyone. He'd been very nice to us as well. And then we got in, and I just was overwhelmed by how friendly and warm and welcoming everyone was, and it had a huge effect on me, because I'm an only child and from a tiny family, and it kind of, I just sort of, Richard Porter, who I know from the walks, sort of said that he goes to places and he feels like he's home. And I think that's a really good thing. I sort of got to Chicago to this fest, and I met all these people, met Ken Womack and all these other wonderful, amazing people. And it just felt like we belonged, and we were made to feel like we could belong, which we didn't expect at all, to be honest. And,
well, that's kind of what we've built here with the TeaFlix family, is that, there are a couple of ladies on here that I've never met, but I feel like sisters. They repost and they share and they help us with the tea. And, I think if you have a love for the Beatles, for peace and love, and just general hippiedom of wanting the world to be a nicer and better place,
and a good sense of humor,
I think you just automatically feel this kinship. It's almost like an alumni, what do they call them here? Reunification. Reunions. Yeah, it's almost like a school reunion, going to one of Mark and Carol's fests, or any of the Beatle fests, and there's a number of them. But if you do ever go back to doing golf and rock and roll, you could call it, goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire.
We could do. And I have to say that one of the great people that's in that book, who's also a massive Beatle head, is Alice Cooper. Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
He's in the Bible of golf. Of course, he is his drug was golf.
That's right.
Everyone else's drug was drugs.
That's right. No, Alice has always been sort of straight and above board. His manager, Shep Gordon, is an associate or contact of ours. He's out in Hawaii, but Alice has always been. He lives in Phoenix, which is of course golfing country, and our great dear friend Dale Jensen introduced us to him and them, and Alice is fabulous, and he can. I mean, under 3 under par, 4 under par. He could play championship golf. He's amazing.
He's amazing, and I love it when you kind of get to meet him. I only met him briefly, but you sort of speak to him, and he says, "When I'm playing golf, I'm Vincent."
That's right. That's
Which
right.
is lovely, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you've got your books, and if anybody wants to link to them, we've linked to them. Go to McCartneystudios.com and go to the team pages of directors, and you'll see Simon right there front and center, and click on his picture, and then there's links to the books on Amazon down below. But I'm sort of switching from books to films. As a filmmaker, I mean, how do you balance respecting the Beatles' history and their music, but bring something genuinely new and fresh? You want to pay a legacy to the Beatles, obviously, that's the core subject. But listening to all of the fans' voices, how on earth do you can't script something like that, right? It's almost like a reality thing. You don't know what you're going to get till you got it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you're right. You're completely right. You can't script it. It's impossible. And you just have to go completely as you would do on any of these kind of things with instinct. It's instinct. And one of the things that's quite extraordinary about it is that I was very lucky because we'd spent sort of 4 or 5 years, obviously, with the book world and sort of getting to know people and watching the fests and coming here, in going to Liverpool to the Beatle Week and going to other things. We were lucky enough to go to Abbey Road on the River.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Abbey Road on the River, my lung bust. I had a pneumonia in my lung bust. I ended up hospitalized.
Oh, dear.
Oh, my Lord.
That's one of the main reasons that venue is in the film, because I only filmed for about an afternoon, and then I was really ill. So, but going back to it, you meet a lot of people and you get to know them. So there were certain people that I went to originally where I kind of got to know them through the book side of it. And then you can start to kind of do those interviews. Obviously, I'd done filmmaking and TV work for years. So you want to slip back in it. And one of the things I do is I interview people. So you kind of have that instinct to people. And so that's the thing. It's really interesting that you talk about script, because so many people try when they're making films to kind of over storyboard and over script and overdo.
That's right.
And they don't really allow, and that really kind of particularly when somebody's on the other side of the camera, when you're interviewing somebody, having that in your mind and being too rigid with it actually makes your interviews really stiff. This. We're very kindred souls in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like you go around to our regular viewers. Now I'm a big foodie, and I always bring, rock and roll and chefs sort of are the same to me. Some of them have guitars and some of them have frying pans. It's almost akin to doing what you do when you do these documentaries. Is you've got the beginning, middle, and end points. You know that it's going to be about the Beatles, and you're trying to say X, Y, and Z, but you don't know the ingredients you're going to have to cook with until it's all in the pot, right? It's like going to a friend's house and you open the fridge and they go cook dinner. You're like, okay, well, what have we got?
Well, I think you're right. And I think one of the things that we've tried to do in this film is that, I was filming from 2017 thinking I was going to do a short film. and sort of through a number of different circumstances, the film has only come out this year. But through that, you kind of there is this whole avalanche of things that happen. So it's kind of like you saying, okay, we've got enough to make 12 albums here, and then somebody comes and says, okay, you can make one.
Yes.
And you have to sift through this. So there's some incredible and wonderful things that we have sort of filmed over the years that never made it to the film at this point. Maybe there'll be other things.
You never know, do you?
But that's the beauty of digital nowadays. I mean, we've worked with legacy rock and roll bands for years, and one of our strategic ideas for them was, well, if there are 3 tracks that don't make the album, stream them in a password protected area of your website. And in exchange for listening to these tracks, you get the fan's name, address, birthday, email, and mobile phone number, and then you swell your fan club. So there are a lot of ways to, reuse that material that you don't necessarily have to serve it the same way. That's the beauty of the internet.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that's really important following on from that is that we'd had success during making the books with crowdfunding. So all of the books that Paul and myself did were crowdfunded, and we built this kind of following a little bit on that. So when it went to kind of going on to a film, it kind of we already had people that knew who I was and what we were doing, and would give us that chance,
Yeah.
Right, because it's a cast of thousands, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Now, your projects often involve a whole range of collectors and tribute bands, archivists, and super fans. What do you think these people play in sort of surviving the Beatles' heritage?
Well, it's imperative, isn't it? I mean, we are the candle that still sort of shines on, really. Yeah, we're still flickering, and that's the point.
We're still flickering, yes. Some of us have longer wicks than others.
That's right, yeah. But I think overall, it's the one thing this is a totally unique family. I mean, there are some incredible rock bands and musicians and all sorts of things, but there's no following like this. This following is kind of like this is a tribute. It's like a vigil for them, and it's a pilgrimage, isn't it? You look at Liverpool and how Liverpool has became a pilgrimage place, particularly after John's death.
That's right.
And you look at sort of obviously the way in which their music has affected us. It breaks down every single border. One of the things that you said earlier on about us coming together in these fests and festivals is that, these are people that we all have this commonality. We have this commonality of loving the music, loving the guys, loving everything about this amazing story of the unlikely story of these likely lads, from Liverpool, and just taking the world on and just, it's kind of like an aspirational thing. But, I think that there are so many things about us that unite us, which is great. And in this very difficult world, one of the things that always amazes me is you can go to these festivals and you'll be talking and speaking to a group of friends who you'd probably not speak to if it wasn't for the Beatles, or may have different political views, views of the world, but when you're in that, in that building or in that area, then that gets left at the door. That's completely left at the door, and we go in, and all that doesn't matter anymore. It's just about being friends, loving the Beatles, and just being in that moment, because it's a very special moment. It's a safe place, isn't it? It's a safe.
It is, and I definitely agree with you. The world needs more, cross-pollinating dialogue about politics and religion and sexuality and acceptance of various things, and even
tolerance,
vegan and vegetarianism versus the meat eaters. There's always a flaming conflict somewhere online that they're shoving in your face.
Yeah.
That I really do think mainstream media is trying to divide us, and that's why we just keep on doing our little old TeaFlix every week, and then there's a couple of thousand, 2,000 to 10,000 people every week around the world tune in, and we're just trying to spread the love.
We have a good friend, Buzz Bazzini. I don't know if you know him. He's an avid collector.
John Bazzini.
Oh, yes.
John Bazzini.
Yeah,
he often recommends people to me that I would otherwise never have heard of.
Right.
But it's astonishing how many new books or how many reissues of old movies.
Right.
And Buzz comes up with it, always sends me details. So it helps me to flush out and keep interesting guests coming along.
He's the Duracell bunny of the Beatles, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My sister from another mister in Pennsylvania, Elizabeth, saying, "Glad you found out about Blue Rabbit in New York City."
Oh, yes. I think Elizabeth means Black Rabbit, of course.
But okay, well, maybe it's my glasses. Maybe she typed black and it's just.
I do that sometimes. I try and make black and it comes out blue.
I'm reading colorblind.
This Black Rabbit are astonishing. And of course, they've gone on to work now and tour with Lenny Kravitz, which is just And you know, I was always just sitting there blown away by how brilliant they are. They're kind of, I always think of them a bit like how the Rolling Stones approach the Beatles songs. You know, they've got that real rocking thing about them, haven't they? And they're just lovely people. You know, I've got to know Amiri pretty well over the years, and very sweetly they came over, and Lenny Kravitz played the Wembley Stadium for the Champions League football game. Soccer, as you guys call it over there. But and there were 97,000 people at that game, and he played the half time, and of course Black Rabbit are, you know, on with him. And I mean, you know, when you've gone, I mean, they were saying, you know, we've gone from playing a room where there's less people in the room than we are, you know, 97,000 people with Lenny Kravitz. And the funniest thing was that Amiri sort of phoned me earlier in the day and said, oh, you know, it'd be great, can you come along? So yeah, I'd love to. How do I get in? And he said, "Oh, just ask for us at the door." And I went, "I'm not sure it works like that."
No,
it worked like that. But it was lovely to see them on the telly. So I watched them on the TV, and I was in a pub watching it with friends, and of course they come up at half time, you know, and I'm like, "I know them." So
he rang me this morning. No, it's not exactly like CBGB's where you show up and just yell your name at sound check.
No, it's brilliant, isn't it? But I mean, they are amazing. But they kind of epitomize how younger people have taken on the music. They're incredible out there. You look at, you know, Mona Lisa twins.
Oh yeah,
they're great.
And again, in our film, you know, again, Dee Matrona, who are quite near the front start of the film in the Cavern Club. I think that was the first or second time they'd played the Cavern Club, and they were young, they were just new, and now they're playing arenas and stadiums, you know. It's great.
Yeah, we did when Ange launched her very first book in 2015.
13,
good God.
12 years ago, yeah.
And we did the book launch at the Liverpool Philharmonic, and we decided through the publisher, through Rock Publishing, which is co-owned by John Paul DeJoria, who not only started Paul Mitchell Hair Care, but also Patron Tequila. And then he decided to open a book publishing company with his partner, Jonathan. We were having a meeting one day about something completely different. And Anne said, "Oh, I'll put that in my book." She was completely joking. And Jonathan said,
Book? When? What?
When? I'll publish it. When's it ready?
Publish it. Just like, and I had to think, shit, I'll have to sit down and write a book.
So this was like end of August, beginning of September, and the book was launched in hard copy print in January on the same night as the Beatles did the rooftop concert. But we put together a whole bunch of, we had the Tetrads from Japan, the Beatle tribute band. They flew all the way in from Japan, God knows how, then to Heathrow, then drove up. And the first thing they said, the hotel was double booked. We were based to stay in Liverpool. And it was double booked, and they rang around and said, "Well, we can stuff you all in the Yellow Submarine Airbnb floating on the freezing cold Albert Dock."
So these poor kids, they said, Cavern.
Go now. And, you know, so I rang Keatsy and I said, "Can you just put them on for one song? They're bouncing off the walls. They've been 31 hours on the road, but they want to play the Cavern on their first night in Liverpool."
Oh, amazing.
And then the Backwoods from Slovenia. The Backwoods are great. Have you ever heard of them? The Backwoods? Yeah, are they from Slovakia or Slovenia, Mark?
And I found some postcards of theirs yesterday, actually.
They're fabulous. But I mean, all of these tribute, our friend Marty Scott, he's playing La Mirada this week with Liverpool Legends. There's so many people making a living and creating jobs and paying sales tax and, you know, generating the economy.
Yeah.
That it's like the bloody Blue Man Group, isn't it? There's just tons of them out there being the Beatles.
Absolutely. And you look at sort of, you know, somebody who's a really close friend of mine, Andy Edwards, you know, who created the waterfront statues, you know, which, you know, were funded by Bill and the Cavern. You know, it's just an extraordinary thing to do. And of course, that has become a pilgrimage meeting point for everyone. You know, in anyone that goes to Liverpool wants to see those statues. And that's again the power of the Beatles, the power of art, the power of his skill and ability. And you know, we're actually at the moment, I might as well tell people on this, but we are desperately trying to bring the JFK statue that he's done. He's done a JFK landing statue to New York City. So if there's anyone out there listening and they want to help us get that into New York City, let us know, or go to the guys and let me know.
I will make a call.
We are very keen to get that over to you, because that would be like, it's like a bookend. So it's another 8-foot bronze statue that would go into central New York City.
Right, which is like the Statue of Liberty in France and New York Harbor. No, so an ex-TeaFlix guest and a dear friend of ours is former New York State Governor David Paterson. He's very tight with Kathy Hochul, and I can certainly put that in front of him, and he'll tell us which hallways to run down. And our dear esteemed Michelin star chef client, Chef Mayank Istwal at Musafa in New York, and their owners, the Chamia Mitu Malik, just hosted right before the election. They just hosted Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani. So I know that's in the sort of the extended Rolodex. So I can help you at least, open some doors.
Well, that would be very. We'd
don't even ask. They could all throw their hands up and go, "I don't know the statue guy in New York," but somebody will.
Yeah, no, it's he. I mean, obviously, he also did the Brian Epstein statue.
Yes, absolutely.
One of the things that was interesting on that was that there was a little bit of crowdfunding on that, because basically people could have their initials carved into the inside of Brian's coat, and that was really successful. So again, that may be something that fans could be involved here, in New York, if we did it.
Now, was it Andy that worked with my cousin Jane Robbins on the Linda McCartney sculpture in Scotland, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, they're good friends. They're very good friends. Yeah.
And again, it's that's actual, married in and blood family, the Robbinses and the McCartneys and the Mowens and the Danners and all of that.
Isn't that amazing when you kind of like, I didn't know when I met Jane originally of the connection, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Of course, it was Andy that told me about that connection, and it's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah. No, they were all, I mean, Kate and Ted and all of them are all my first cousins.
Yeah. So, amazing, isn't it?
Marriage. I know, it's mad. It's cool. Diana's asking, would you ever consider a visit to either the Chicago or New York Beatle Fests fans in 2026? I know you've done both of them. Are you thinking about 26 yet?
I am trying to think about 26. And hi, Diana. But yeah, I would. I'd love to. I mean, it's a strange thing for me, because obviously we're trying to finish things at the moment, and we have films that are kind of like I'm still sitting here with Alex who's in San Diego trying to finish, and obviously I'd love to get there. It's partly time, and it's partly to do with the workload at the moment to do it. But I would love to get back. I'd particularly like to get back to Chicago, to be honest, because I've not been to Chicago probably for about 3 years to that show. And, there's a lot of friends I have there. It's great. Yeah. And I don't, it's just lovely to see the people. And, so I'd love to get back to Chicago and see them. So, yeah, who knows? Hopefully, maybe.
So you talked about workload and finishing films and whatever. And you had a sort of a challenge question about that.
What have been your biggest challenges in producing a fan Beatles? I'll start again. I'm breaking these teeth in for a friend. The biggest challenge in producing a fan-driven Beatles documentary. That's what I meant to say. Both creatively and financially, and of course logistically. So, what are your biggest challenges?
Or are they all just a bloody nightmare?
I think you put your finger on it, Ruth.
All of them. They're all just a bloody nightmare.
All of the above. Firstly, we couldn't have made this film without the help of the fans. The fans have funded the film, and one of the biggest challenges was that we'd done all our books with a funding group called Pledge Music. And Pledge Music, unfortunately, we went through Pledge Music to get this underway, and then about halfway through that particular thing, which is very early on in the filming part of it, Pledge Music went bust.
Oh,
gosh! I didn't know about this. But it was the only time I ever spoke to him, but I had a call from Neil Innes, and Neil Innes told me that he was going to do an album, and he phoned me and said, I think you're involved with Beatles stuff as well. have you checked your account? And I said, apart from the fact I was slightly overwhelmed, I was talking to Neil Ennis. I said, well, no, what's going on? And he said, I've checked my account. There's nothing in it, or I can't get in, or something had happened. And it turned out that they'd just kind of done a runner, or something had happened, and it's just everything went. And we were like him, and I think Ozzy Osbourne's guitarist had done an album. We never got to see that. And of course, so we had said to the fans when that happened, if we get to do another one at some point, we will honor the people that came in and make sure they get their DVD or their Blu-ray or whatever, CD, whatever. We don't really. So we launched another one, I think in 2021 with Indiegogo, which fortunately kept going, and said to a lot of people, look, if you've already pledged, don't worry, we've got your names now. And then, but a lot of the people came back because they were so upset that this had failed for everyone, not just us, for them and everyone that was trying to make this film. But they all, so we got a lot of people back that pledged again, and they weren't happy. They were just, we really want to back this film. And so without the fans, this film would never exist at all.
Oh, so it's lovely. I loved it. Yeah.
Well, it's because you're bloody in it.
Oh, well,
that's the great thing, isn't it? And we've got this lovely section in it with you guys telling a wonderful story, and of course the logistics thing there, where you were filming locally, and I'm, we're
directly on Zoom,
8,000 miles away, aren't we, at that point? And then, but it's really lovely, and I think that's the other thing that was really lovely about the film, was that we had sort of people like Natalie Palumbo, who made a story about her brother and about his relationship with the Beatles, which is right. And so we had a lot of contributions to it that we then had to kind of fit in and do things. And I thought the biggest challenge of it was that there's some fantastic stuff. We got a really lovely interview with Klaus Forman. We've got Jim Birkenstadt. We've got, David Bedford. We've got Ken Womack. We've got incredible people, Jude Kessler. None of them, in the way that we were able to put this film together, managed to make this cut. But that's not to make out that none of these interviews weren't as significant or as good as anything else. They were at least as good, So we had this incredible wealth of things, but it was finding a balance that we felt would kind of keep an even stream through it, for both for people that are fanatical fans and for other people that may be coming to it kind of quite new.
Right. Well, let's talk about that on another occasion, you and Martin and I, because we might have some solutions there for at least keeping the bits alive until you decide when the second iteration is coming. The second coming. The unlikely story of four likely lads. That's the title you said before. Write that down. That's really good. Unless somebody's already used it.
Oh, they're off now doing it while we're on it.
It'd be the longest URL in the world, wouldn't it? The unlikely tale of four likely lads.com.
Yes.
Somebody's on GoDaddy right now going,
have something to do with the statue on Matthew Street.
Yes,
four lads who shook the world.
When you're on Matthew Street, there's a statue that says four lads that shook the world, and it was Albert, last name's escaping me, old fart, right outside the cavern when you come up the stairs.
I know.
And Arthur Dooley.
Was
the sculptor, and
not full Dooley, but Arthur Dooley.
Yeah, Arthur Dooley. Yeah, not your full Dooley, exactly. But Pete Price, many moons ago, and he didn't want it to be known back then. Pete Price, the radio, entertainer, cabaret radio celebrity in the UK, he was actually the money behind that, and nobody knew for a long time. I just love these. You got Cilla Black, you got John Lennon leaning, you got the Beatles, you got Brian Epstein, you got the four lads who shook the world. It sort of contributes to Liverpool as an art piece as a whole, doesn't it? What do you think, for people who haven't been to Liverpool, how would you sort of encapsulate and describe for the Beatle fan the experience of going there? What are the must-sees, and what's the experience of going there?
I think one of the most important things is that anyone, in our fan group who's been to a fest or a festival, if you've been to the New York Fest or the Chicago Fest or Abbey Road on the River or International Beatles Week.
Well, Beatles on the Beach is another one down.
On the beach, of course,
Yeah.
and many others, I'm sure, around the world, of course. But every time you go to this thing, you feel like you've come home. You feel like you're with family, and I think that's the biggest compliment I think I can pay to Liverpool, which is when you go to Liverpool, when I go to Liverpool, I feel like I've come home. I feel like I'm amongst family. And everyone that hasn't been to Liverpool, and they're Beatle fans, if you want that feeling that you have when you go to a fest and you feel safe and happy, then Liverpool has that same feeling. And it's just the natural energy of the people that live there. It's the incredible, my friend Debbie Greenberg, who is, as you know, went through all 292 times that they played at the Cavern, and her family owned the Cavern. I mean, she and all of the people around there are the epitome of friendliness, family, happiness. And I think that's what I think people will get. It's totally unlike any other city in the world.
Yeah, I think a true Scouser, you never know a stranger, do you?
No, exactly. And that's what's very, very, very welcoming. And of course, it has got this incredible, what I got slightly sort of bohemian feel to it sometimes, as well. The art is quite, there's very different eclectic areas of art. So you get very modern art and very beautiful art. And I just think anyone that's coming to it, obviously it's got this incredible musical heritage to it, which is just beautiful. And is more than just the Beatles, just to have to say that.
Absolutely.
So music, so much there. But there is something, I mean, it's a small, the other thing that people don't realize, it's quite a small city.
Yes.
City centre is quite small, but there's other areas like Walton and Speke and all these things which all have Beatle parts to them. So that it really is the kind of there is the magical mystery tour there, but I just think that there's not a dull place in Liverpool to visit. It's all
you forget how walkable it is. We living in Los Angeles, everything is you got to get in the car. But when you think about from Bold Street, Lord Street, down to Albert Dock, it's a good good day out, a couple of thousand,
and it's all,
but it's walkable. It's doable.
Walkable, and it's somebody said to me, a friend of mine, Rory, said you're more or less in the centre of town. You're more or less in any direction 8 minutes from something really great.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's true. Which is true. And I love what Rogue and also Pete have done, not just now in Matthew Street,
wonderful?
But I mean, good God, what they've done with the Casbah and the story. We had Rogue on, and the story about how Mona got the house and all of that. Good. She pawned her jewelry
and put it on a horse.
Yep.
And he tells a wonderful story as well.
Money to buy the house.
He's such a character. I love Rogue.
Yes, it's wonderful.
What they've managed to do.
His daughter is going to play Mimi, isn't she?
Isn't that great? It's like royalty coming into that.
Yeah, I know. It's great.
And I'm so pleased for him, and because I know his daughters are very successful and family's very successful, but it's just this lovely thing, isn't it? Something really lovely to look over. He was saying to me after it came out that they'd known about it for like 9 months or something, and they hadn't been able to tell anyone. They had to keep all quiet. No, I don't know anything about it. But he's amazing. What I interviewed him right at the beginning of when they put the museum together. And it was lovely, but there wasn't a huge amount in it. And then when you go back year on year on year and see what he's managed to do and what they've managed to do with the place, it's extraordinary what they've done. And
now this new section of Liverpool legends,
yes,
so embrace a lot of the other talent from Liverpool. It's wonderful.
I was looking at my brother McCartney's Twitter this morning. And he's finally found himself in that new mural, or murial, as they used to call it.
Got that murals on the wall.
He's wedged behind Paul and next to Jerry Marsden, yeah. So he's chuffed to be in it. But when you think, I mean, yes, of course, the Beatles and Cilla Black and Billy J. Kramer and Freddie, all of that. But
Mhm.
then subsequently in my era, because I was born in 1960, you had Flock of Seagulls and Frankie Goes to Hollywood and Paris 9. These fantastic. The 80s was just as active as
Echo and the Bunnymen.
Echo and the Bunnymen,
Bunnymen,
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, no, you had, the 80s was almost as active in the
Mhm.
burgeoning music scene as the mid 60s were for
Yeah.
Liverpool.
And there used to be a band who shall be nameless, who played a very bad gig one night, and the manager came to them and said, "Get your gear and off." So GYGFO, they renamed themselves Geigerfo. Get your gear.
I love it. That is amazing.
Geigerfo.
Yeah, we were talking about a friend of ours in Australia yesterday. His email address is agshalu@Comcast, whatever, Australia. And I'm like, is that some kind of, I had this romantic notion that it was going to be an Aboriginal tribe, the Agshalu of, Alice Springs or whatever. And he said, no, he said, mate, I work at the Opera House and I don't want to get hit in the head. I'm like, okay, do explain. He said it stands for all good stagehands always look up.
Oh, I see. Very good.
Make sure there's no sandbags coming down or anything.
Make sure there's no lights. Oh, yes, absolutely. Ashley from Alabama saying, of course, Elvis Costello too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
he's from New Brighton.
You probably know Ashley.
You look at the actress Kim Cattrall.
Yeah, you've probably met Ashley. He's a dear friend of Frida Kelly and Rachel, and that whole crowd. He comes over
Ashley
from
Davey,
America. Yeah. He was actually one of the investors in
Good old Frida.
Good old Frida.
Yeah.
Speaking of crowdfunding, so
Yeah.
absolutely.
That was really helpful to me, and I must mention here, is Jude Kessler.
Yeah, she's fabulous.
Jude sort of did so many things to help us along the way with the film.
Good.
And her story and their story.
I know, it's amazing. It's their whole lives, isn't it?
Amazing people. I mean, away from the Beatles side, the things that they've done to help young people is just off the scale. They are remarkable people. The parents.
Yeah, they are lovely.
Yeah.
Now that she solved her printing problem she had some offshore printing problem, and we've had her scheduled to come back on with her new book, but we just haven't been able to.
She's remarkable and dedicated to what she does.
Utterly. Yeah, and her husband.
She truly is absolutely Rand. Yeah, he's an incredible artist too. I mean,
lovely people, but their whole backstory and what they've done to help people away from the Beatles in their life is jaw-dropping.
Good.
Karen Reeder, a friend from Edinburgh, Scotland, is saying the Vernon girls and Jean Owen in particular should also go onto the new Wall of Fame at the museum.
Very much so. Absolutely.
Forgotten about the Vernon girls. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That shout. Good one.
We've talked about this on other shows, and I think Liverpool, first of all, you had a piano in every house. You didn't have a pot to piss in. Nobody had any money, but there was a piano in every
Everybody
house.
had a piano and a sing-song when your folks came back from the pub.
Yeah. So
the kids would get up and come downstairs and you'd all sing around the piano.
Hence, Rushworth and Draper had big houses on Queen's Drive, So they were the piano salespeople or the musical salespeople, and NEMS North End Musical Institute, North End Music Services, which NEMS was part of the Brian Epstein family. But a piano in every house, a port, which has a shameful, horrible history in slavery, but that also brought in, if you try to find if there is indeed a silver lining in that cloud of any kind, it brought with it. Music, cultures,
and Jamaica,
food. Well, China, Liverpool is the oldest Chinatown in Europe.
That's right. Yes, I only learned that recently. It's amazing.
1300, mid 1300s. So it really was a melting pot of sailors coming and going. I mean, even the Beatles getting their own musical influences from. Obviously Lonnie Donegan and Rock Island Line was very British and skiffle, but that came across with Bob Wooler going down to the docks to have a little sherry with some of his sailor friends coming in from the Carolinas and America, and they would bring Elvis records and blues and all that stuff, and that's then he would take them and play them at the Cavern, and John and Paul would hear them. So I think if Liverpool had been landlocked, let's say like York or Birmingham, it probably wouldn't have had the same theme. Music
didn't stop Ozzy Osbourne, though.
No, it didn't.
Nothing stopped.
Don't say.
Oh, bless him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, bluegrass particularly was a massive influence on them.
Well, and look-
and again, that came in through that route, didn't
And
it?
look at what Ringo, did last year. He's absolutely mad country music fan, and he heard country. There were lots and lots of working men's clubs in Liverpool that were just country and western back in the day.
Yeah.
People don't necessarily associate Liverpool with country music, but it was really a big part of their
No,
heritage and everything.
it was this enormous melting pot of
Yeah.
particular culture and music, food, music, art, everything came in.
What did they say in Liverpool? If music be the food of love,
Give us a tune on your jam butty.
Love
That's-
it.
That was Ken Dodd.
that's the one.
That's not an original.
No,
The
that
late
was-
Doddy.
Yeah, and let's get started on the Liverpool comedians list.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So, Ange had another question about going back to your interviewing of people.
Yeah. So if making these fan films was the most surprising, what was the most surprising story you came across from the fans?
From the
You
fans.
have one?
Was the one that made you lift your baseball cap and go, "Phew, bloody hell!
Wow.
Didn't know that."
People know there's nothing under here at all. It's like Darth Vader.
There's
Darth Vader.
darling, there's a big sexy brain. Doesn't matter about
Well, that's very kind of you to say that. But there
I
you go.
lend you my wig anytime you
Yeah.
want.
this.
This
This
is
can go in
my
the post.
Tuesday.
Oh yeah, we'll do that. I could rock
This
that.
can go in the post.
Definitely rock that. I mean, there were a number of different things that were really quite surprising along the way. I mean, I suppose, within the film, because it was just took my breath away, was the Rio brothers, who are quite near the end. They're from the Philippines.
Yes.
And the fact that they had survived, they were, they had this family where their dad had lost his job and they didn't have anything to eat. And though it doesn't all come out in the interview, they were eating stuff from under the house. They didn't have anything to eat. They were just pulling stuff out and just making anything edible to eat. And then they learned to play instruments on tin cans and boxes and all these sort of things.
Yeah.
And they kind of got, their dad was a pretty good musician and managed to kind of get themselves doing music together as a small family. And then the typhoon hit.
Yeah.
Typhoon hit, and it killed so many people. Fortunately, didn't lose anyone in the family, but they almost died in that. They were on the top of the house, and the house was just basically filling up, and they were sitting on top of it, and lots of people were swept away, and they ended up being nomads. They lost everything. So to kind of come from that and then manage to get yourself back into something and back into a life where you then end up playing Madison Square Gardens. I mean, they're playing Square Gardens.
Incredible.
I mean, what I was thinking when I was watching that small part is like, oh, I want to know more. This is a movie by itself.
Yes, it is. It's definitely
It is.
a movie by itself. One of the things that was really interesting about that was the original interview that I did with them was actually in Filipino, was in their local language, because only Raymart, who does the interview in the final version of the film, speaks any English. They don't. This is why they're so remarkable, is that they're just like an incredible band. They sort of sound like the Beach Boys doing the Beatles, and but they get everything right. The accents, the way they play, they're all self-taught.
Yeah.
They've learnt to sing and do that kind of thing based on what they've seen on TV, and it's remarkable that if you just listen to them and you don't watch them, you don't realize that they are from the Philippines.
Right.
Yeah.
Say the name of the band again for people who want to Google it.
They're called the Rio Brothers, REO Brothers.
Like Rio's REO Speedwagon, like the car.
The Rio Brothers, and they are unbelievable. They're lovely people as well, really extraordinary people. But that original Filipino interview is jaw-dropping, because the other thing that had happened to them as we were doing that is their mum had died a couple of days beforehand. They would insist in doing the interview. So it was a very emotional interview where they're talking about getting through all of these things, and then they lost their mum to cancer, and it was incredibly, I was sitting there and you are fighting back the tears with it. when it came to actually doing the film, the kind of feeling was that it's such an incredible story, but it's quite heavy for the reflection of that. So we went back to Rio and said, look, can we do something about this story, but sort of slightly more contained and with you in English, because we feel that an audience will probably need to, kind of understand who you are,
Right.
and if like a million captions up the subtitles. But you're absolutely right. I mean, I would love to go there and just do a film about them, because the fact that they've survived all this and then these losses continually happening to them, I thought that was just extraordinary. There's something I haven't done, which I'd really love to. One of my favorite people, his name's just gone out of my head fantastically. So Gary Astridge.
Oh, yeah, he was on about 3 months ago, and he was introduced by Ashley Davey, who was
I mean, little Gary, as we call him.
Oh yeah,
6'5" or something. Isn't he?
But here's the good news: if you've got Gary's phone number and you ever lose your ball on the roof,
just like reach up and get it, can't you?
Yeah.
His story, his life story, is extraordinary and harrowing and amazing, and the fact that he's come out of it all so beautifully articulate and adjusted and creative, and he's another remarkable people. And I've just been blessed to meet people like yourselves, remarkable people all the way along.
So for those of you who don't know, Gary, go Google TeaFlix and Gary Astridge. Gary is kind of de facto Ringo's archivist, isn't he? He wrote this fantastic book called Beats and Threads. We talked about it last week, and he has literally cataloged every single drumstick, drum kit, and costume of Ringo's. And he's such a humble man. I mean, it's such an incredible journey that he's been on, and he's such a humble man.
He was here for Ringo's birthday.
He was here,
July,
and Ashley very kindly took us all to lunch at our local favorite Thai place. And we hung out all afternoon just talking, all things Ringo. And Gary Astridge is certainly one to Google, and his book is definitely just a keeper.
He's a brilliant person, and again, he's one of these people, and you hear the life story and you think, how has he managed to get through all that?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm going to do some more research about the Rio brothers. And again, 6 Degrees of Separation, one of our dear friends, lovely man, and fortunately client on and off for marketing, is David Pomeranz, who wrote tons of hits for Barry Manilow and Melissa Manchester. And he carved out an incredible career for himself. He's just done 20 sold out nights to 50,000 people in the Philippines. And he has known President Bongbong Marcos, the current president, literally since he was 2.
Yeah.
So, there's political connections through all of that to the Philippines. Maybe there's some, Filipino film fund, and let's go make a film for McCartney Studio, shall we?
Yeah, they would. I mean, I love that family. They're just a wonderful family as well. So let's do it.
Elizabeth's saying in your film, The Interview with Lawrence Juba.
Oh, yes. Good point. Well, he's, again, what an amazing life Lawrence has had. And what I really like about Lawrence as well, and, I'm sure you sat down with him and Hope, is they're such normal people. I mean, it's like they really are the most down-to-earth people. And, she's got a fantastic backstory and history as well.
Dad, oh my goodness.
Lawrence is a deeply spiritual person, and what was great about that interview was that I sort of asked him a few times, and we kind of knew each other, but we didn't know each other that well. And he said, "Well, we've got the gig at it was at the fest in about an hour and a half, so I'm gonna we've got 30 minutes and I'll have to get on. It's got quite a few things to do before I start." Anyway, so he sits down and we're sort of interviewing him, and then sort of like about an hour and a quarter later he goes, "Oh my God," but he really, he fell down a rabbit hole when we were doing that interview. And there's a load of stuff beyond that interview. Elizabeth brought that up. There's a load of stuff beyond the interview where he talks about spirituality, but in great depth, and it's amazing stuff. And he's such an articulate person. But what the thing I really love about him is that he's had quite a few collaborations with fans.
Uh-huh.
He's done, so other friends of mine called Isaac and Lindsay, who are from, I think they're from, gosh, don't get this wrong. They're from Brazil, I think, I hope. Yeah, they're Brazil. So Isaac and Lindsay are remarkable, just fabulous dual, you know, they're a husband and wife act. They reached out to Lawrence and said, we want to do a version of Waterfalls. And if you look out for Lindsay and Isaac and Lawrence Juba doing Waterfalls which is on YouTube, I think it's just one of the best versions I've ever heard. You know, it's beautiful. He plays the guitar for them. So he's done these collaborations with lots of different fans, and he's very generous. You know, he's done it with a number of people, and he's done it because he loves trying to help. And B, I think he just you know, he's a music.
They're both just good souls.
Yeah.
And
I just bought a stack of my Mrs. McCartney's teas.
Yes, so
probably giving them for Christmas.
Yeah,
gifts.
I think the Jubas Christmas surprise. If you're a friend of the Jubas, don't watch this. Spoiler alert. I think you get
might
tea
get
for Christmas.
Mrs. McCartney's tea. Yeah,
McCartney tea, brilliant. What could be better?
Yeah, no, that warmed my heart. It's like, oh, the Jubas are shopping on Angie's website. You know, it's really cute.
They're great, and again, that's one of the great things about, I think, within the film, is that there's a lot. I mean, you couldn't really go into a community where you would be able to talk to different people. You know, we've talked to
that's right.
Rod Davis, talk to yourselves, talk to Julia Baird, talk to all sorts of people. And normally they, you know, there is a separation in a lot of these fandom areas, but in the Beatles world, it doesn't exist.
Right.
That's really important. That's one of the things I really wanted to show in the film, is that, you know, it doesn't matter if you are playing in your bedroom, or if you're playing in a stage, or whether you've written a best-selling book, or whether you've sold it to 10 people. It doesn't matter, because we're all friends on the same level within that Beatles family, and that's what's so great.
Well, a lot of our TeaFlix viewers have become friends with themselves, amongst themselves, and formed their own community.
It's fantastic.
There's a whole load of them that are in touch constantly.
Yeah, no, it's great to see. That's the kind of thing that, like, if you're on a lifeboat, you know, off the Titanic, those are the people you want, right?
Yes,
everybody's all speaking of things that came out of Liverpool, the Titanic. Somebody said that to me once. Oh, the Beatles are the biggest thing to come out of Liverpool, and I'm like, that would have been the Titanic. But anyway,
just the Titanic, yes,
close
on a square footage basis, you know.
And he still would have got on that door.
Yeah.
Get on that door at the end. Come on.
Oh, and I'd have got on the door to rescue Kate Winslet. I think she's
I would have. Yes.
I love her. So you've got a couple of things before we sort of wind up the hour. You've got a couple of things in the works. But briefly, because we're in our Bad Santa shirts.
Oh yes.
Do tell the viewers, listeners, your funny Bad Santa tangential connection.
Oh well, okay, yeah. So many years ago, in another life, I used to write short stories, and one of my short stories was called Last Christmas, and I had a brilliant agent called Harriet, who's a very unusual looking person, very distinctive looking person, and she had the gift of selling things in. So this short story got sold into a studio, and eventually became the film Bad Santa. So I'd written it.
I watched it 2 nights ago. Yeah.
Well done, you.
Yeah.
I'd written it with Jack Nicholson in mind at the time, but I think Billy Thornton just does the most remarkable job with it, doesn't he? You know, but that's so I kind of it was one of these situations where I had a couple of them where somebody says you can have a point on this film, you can have some shares in it, or you can take this money and run and just sod off. Basically, they don't give you a credit or anything. No. But take this much money, and of course, when I was doing that, I was I was young, I was engaged, and we didn't have much money. It's just like, let's take the money and but it always makes me laugh, that film, and I always think that it's really sweet. And what's really nice about it is there's a couple of lines in it that they kept. And it's really, and I used to have a few friends of mine send me things at Christmas which are from that film, because they refer to it, because they know that it was in the original.
Little inside joke.
Nice. Yeah.
insider family joke. Joanne's just speaking of insider family. Joanne in Colorado is just saying her friend got to have a reunion with her old classmate May Pang through the TeaFlix connection. So
that's right.
Again,
yes.
It's all that.
It's all one wonderful family generated by this incredible, as we said, the Likely lads.
And it's all about art and music and food and again, we not only now we started practicing meat-free Mondays, and we're practically meat-free Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and don't eat beef anymore and all of that stuff. But it's a message that really has spread far and wide, and again through art. I mean, you talk about Liverpool and all of the murals and the art. Shannon has painted an incredible piece in Matthew Street. In Matthew Street that links Memphis and Merseyside, right?
Yeah, it's incredible. And again, just so that your audience knows, she and me and my company guys, we have made a film about her life as well, which is again mind-blowing. You go into things and you think, it's nice and she's a great artist, but what's this? How are we going to get the story? And then these onion layers peel off, and you're like, oh my gosh! And of course, people have to remember that she lost pretty much all of her life's work in the Maui fire in Hawaii. And had to start all over again, because you never get these works back, and these were the original pieces that she lost, and it was like grieving a loss of a family member for her.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we've been filming on that for a year, and that should be out next summer, hopefully, that film. And I think that's called Shannon, Goddess of Rock Art,
which is absolutely perfect. She is a goddess. She's
beautiful, isn't she?
She's gorgeous.
And I have to say to people that she and I talk for 2 minutes about stuff in the film, and then we talk about the world and try and put it to rights for the next 2 hours.
Yes.
That's kind of the way our relationship works. She's amazing company.
Yeah, she is, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So you've spoken with Beatle fans all over the world. What similarities and or differences and or maybe none stood out between fans from Liverpool, America, Brazil, Japan, Europe, beyond, whatever? Do they all perceive the Beatles in the same way, or were they sold the Beatles by the labels and the media? Were they sold them differently, and did it land differently for them? Or do you think it's just a universal brand that is now understood?
It's a very good question. How long have you got?
Okay, on a cold night, about this long, on a warm day.
I would actually, I think one of the things, again, I would say is that one of the things that's amazed me about Beatles fans around the world is the commonality between, it doesn't generationally, whether they come from a different country, to speak a different language, have been brought up in a different way. Once you're in that Beatles family, there is this commonality, and you can see it in everyone. You can see it in kids that are coming into it in their early teens or late teens or early 20s, to people of sort of our generations. And I think that really does make this a truly unique family. That's kind of what I've tried to do in that film, is show that it is this very unique set of people that are kind of, I feel, as important to the story of the Beatles as the Beatles are. That's a pretty weird thing to say, I guess. But
I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know?
I do. Without the customers,
one of them.
Without customers, there wouldn't be a product. People have stopped going to Kmart.
Absolutely. And we are, they are the preachers, the church, the evangelists of this amazing thing that will go on for hundreds and hundreds of years, well beyond any of us. But I think that's what makes it so nice. And it's a very innocent, maybe is the word, group of people. There's no agenda.
Right.
Now, well, John used to call the fans the customers.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, and John called himself a fan. That's how connected he is, and was.
Right. But I mean, can you imagine if John had been around in the day and age of the internet? He would. People sometimes ask who would you, dead or alive, who would you have dinner with? And my first two people are John Lennon and Frank Zappa.
Really?
Always.
Oh,
Well,
really?
just because what would they have done? My career in marketing, digital consulting, building websites with Martin and McCartney Studios and the video division, all that business stuff we do to keep the lights on. I'm so involved every day in digital, right?
Yeah.
I just wonder what those two would have done with, the positive side of the internet and what they might be doing to, shut down AI, plagiarism, and, all the nasty crap that happens.
I mean, I know that there's so many. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult world. The AI thing is such a difficult question. It's a whole sort of week of programs in its own right, isn't it? Most of which don't feature people, but sorry, it's a stupid joke. But it's. I think it's a really interesting one. I wonder what he would make of it. I mean, it's interesting that Paul and sort of Ringo have said things about AI as well.
Well, we own McCartney.ai, the domain name,
Okay.
and if you go there, you'll find the verified voice vault, and we're working with various voice actors and a couple of Native American tribal leaders to record and preserve and watermark their voices.
Oh, what a fantastic thing to do.
Yeah. So if they get cloned or ripped off by any one of these number of clone things, they will have a digital receipt. They'll have a USB stick and a URL and a date and time stamp of when they protected their voice. Unfortunately, I've had 3 calls with the US Copyright Office, and they're like, well, we can't copyright the timbre of somebody's voice. I'm like, well, get on it.
Yes. Well, this is where
your government dollars at work, TikTok.
Media law is going to be a totally different environment in the future.
Right. So, but we've got a ton of actors and audiobook voice people that have joined the Verified Voice Vault, and we take their voice and we give them the purple padlock, and we tell them, okay, your voice was uploaded by us into the McCartney servers. It's secure. It's watermarked. It's time and dated and stamped. And if you ever hear or have reason that your voice has been nicked or cloned, come back to us, and you'll have at least something to take to your lawyer, because otherwise you can just sit there all day long and go, that's my voice.
Yes, I know. It's
so you're providing a filing cabinet in the cloud with proof and date and stuff for voices. That's what I think Jim, my dad, would want to do with his name, McCartney. When we bought McCartney AI, Martin and I sat down for a whole week and said, well, responsibly, what do we do with this name, with this domain, with this brand? So
it's a great cultural project, heritage project.
Yeah. So anyway, just chucking that one out there. So as we know, going across the bottom ticker and the crawl is where people can find you, plus on social media. Where can they see A Love Letter to the Beatles, your latest film?
Well, they can see both A Love Letter to the Beatles and Miss O'Dell, which is Chris Hodgson.
Miss O'Dell is fantastic too.
Yeah.
You've seen that film?
Yes. 3 times.
Fantastic. I'm really happy that you've seen that. It's lovely. She's brilliant, Yeah. And again, that's a film that couldn't be as good as it is without somebody like Chris, who is just electric. He is a personality. And all the people that went around her were great. Pattie and Bob and, all sorts of people. So, yes, they can see A Love Letter to the Beatles is on Amazon Prime, as is Miss O'Dell. So Amazon Prime is probably the easiest place to get to it. I believe it's on Tubi, and I think it's on Roku as well. Roku. Sorry, I'm one of these lunatic people that makes stuff but doesn't have television. So people have to kind of tell me what's going on.
You haven't got a telly.
I've got an Etch-a-Sketch, So I'm pretty good at watching stuff until I trip over a curb and then I have to start again. But
that is hilarious!
How lovely!
Yes, they're on Roku, Tubi, and Amazon Prime. I think they're on Fandango as well.
Okay.
Miss O'Dell is on Peacock. And that's on Peacock. And I'm hoping that A Love Letter to the Beatles, because it's a kind of percolated film, it will come out on different things over the next few months. So I'll probably be able to update people on where it's available. And of course, just to the people that are waiting, so the people that funded the film, We have been making the Blu-rays and the DVDs and the CDs for them, so they will get those in the new year, which is great. The other thing I just wanted to say very quickly before I completely forget. So the other film that will be coming out, that Chris Purcell, my really close friend, brilliant director, has made, and I produced with him, is Evolver 62, which is the Evolver 62 theatre show that Mark Lewisohn did at the Bloomsbury Theatre in London in 2022, and it's taken us quite a long time. And I also have to say that our really great friends at Liverpool West have enabled a lot of these things to happen, and they're putting together an incredible like their own channel of amazing things.
Great.
But without Liverpool West, a lot of these things would never see the light of day. And Miss Odell was actually Doug Schwab, who owns Liverpool West's. That was his idea. He wanted to do that. Oh. And he kind of got me and sort of pushed me in front of her and said, "You ask her," and the rest is history. But yeah, very, very, we're very grateful to them, because they've given us a platform to tell these stories in the same way that you're talking about heritage with your amazing voice program. Is that these are all, but again, these are all archives, and they're all things that will go on and on and on, and different people will eventually discover them. I don't think any of us do these things to make a fortune, or we'd love to, but we don't do it to make a fortune, but we do make it for the love of doing it. And hopefully that love, and all the things that you do and I do and everyone else that's involved in trying to make things, it shares that love and that passion that all the fans and everyone has for this band.
Absolutely. Well, we will update as we go. We'll update the McCartneystudios.com/Simon-Weitzman page as Simon feeds the information to us. Yes. And if Steven Spielberg's watching and you need a director for or Tom Hanks, in fact.
Or if you need anyone to do the gardening or clean the pool.
No. Yeah,
No.
We don't undersell ourselves. We're an award-winning director.
I'm really, really good at gardening, by the way. That's one of my other great passions in life.
And she's really, really good at limericks, because she is the author of Mrs. McCartney's Liverpool limericks and other random Irish haikus. Available now for your Christmas stocking stuffers on mrsmccartneys.com. See what I did
recommended by Queen Camilla.
And 3 letters from Queen Camilla.
3 letters from the Queen about that book.
Indeed.
So
Ange put pen to paper early this morning in a nightie. The pen wasn't in a nightie, it was on the paper. And if you're sitting comfortably, then we shall begin. I will let you count the rhythm. Go for it.
1, 2, 3.
There once was a filmmaker, Simon, with stories of Liverpool's climbing. From Miss Odell's glow to his love letter show, he keeps their bright legacy shining. Ta-da!
How wonderful. Thank you.
Don't give up your day job.
That is lovely. That's really sweet. I've never had a limerick sung.
Have you? Well, you'll have one in the mail. I'll email this to you.
Thank you very much. I would love that.
Absolutely.
I'd like to say thanks to all of the people that have put their messages up, Diana, Elizabeth, and all sorts of other people. It's been really sweet having those messages all the way through. And there's some bloke called Martin as well.
Yeah. He's running the show upstairs. That's somebody's
up. It's lunchtime.
Somebody's got well, no, it's because we put these also. Martin will then cut them, take the audio, master it, and then put it through our distribution system, so it will be available not only on the front page of McCartney Times and McCartney.com, but on Pandora, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all the podcast places you can get
YouTube.
It. So, and YouTube. Later on today. So come by, check it out, and if you missed it, you missed it. But thank God for digital, because we can play it back. Thank you so much, Simon. I know how many projects you've got on the bubble and how busy you are. So thanks for taking the time this evening.
It was great
to have us. And
for having me on. Thank you.
Okay.
All the love. And we'll see you kids all of a sudden.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao. Stay well. Keep those kettles boiling.